Richard Hocking with Outsider Trading, hacking stocks using public information and influence.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me okay? Thanks for coming to my talk. First time speaking at B-Sides, so if I seem nervous, it's because I am. Let's get straight into it. I have a few slides to work through. So my name is Richard Hocking. Work as a penetration tester at a company called Telspace Systems, based in Johannesburg. Some of my likes: bypassing logic, breaking things, like to do some hexing, like to do some relaxing, mostly with a beer and a braai, sometimes together, right? So what is this talk all about? It's not a technical talk as such. There's no O-days, there's no lead stuff. It's basically more an idea of how our daily tasks as security analysts might help in other areas of normal life, right? So my idea came from a TV show called Triptych, early 90s Afrikaans TV show. Started watching it again for some comedic relief. And one of the plots jumped out at me. So there was Company X, started a massive bridge building project in China. Hackers would then break into news agencies and spread false news that the bridge collapsed. And that would lead the stock price of Company X to drop. So with that in my subconscious, some beer discussions ensued, only over one beer. One of my mates is a stock trader. We started talking. Basically, it came out that as security analysts, our brains are formed and conditioned for spotting anomalies, right? We like analytics, that's why we do stuff. So the point is basically, let's see if we can play the stock market game and maybe make some mad money in the process. That's always good, right? Okay, so just some stock market basics. I'm in no way a professional trader, but basically you have short selling or going bearish on a stock. The idea is you sell a stock because you think the price is going to fall, and then you buy it back later for a profit, right? So the more it goes down, the more money you make. Other part of that is going long, bullish. So basically that's purchasing a stock, hoping that the price will increase. So that's where the term buy low, sell high comes from. Okay. So what influences stock prices? So these are by no means the only things, but this is what I saw. So quarterly results, announcements from companies, which is required by law, events, massive mergers, PR nightmares, breaches, new product launches, all that can influence the stock market, right? And if you guys can tell me if this cat is going up or down, I will definitely give you some stickers because I can't figure it out. It's down. Yeah, so there are some illegal ways of manipulating stock. Don't try this at home. You will most definitely get locked up. So, I'm sure you guys heard about the TalkTalk breach. Early October 2015, 160,000 customer credit card details got leaked. Because of that, profits fell to £14 million compared to £32 million earlier that year. As you can see, that's quite a big dip. Something interesting we saw when the WannaCry ransomware started spreading, it almost looked like the Bitcoin price started moving with that. So as you can see at the first pointer, that's when the first variant came out. I think that was the 12th or 13th of May. That was with the kill switch. So Bitcoin price went up a bit, came down, and the second variant came out just after that with the no kill switch, and it looks like the price went up. So I mean, we know that Bitcoin is volatile. It's just something that we did spot, so that's pretty interesting. Some news agencies reported that the WannaCry ransomware, the losses could reach $4 billion. That's not because of the ransomware themselves. I don't think they made a lot of money out of that. But basically that's because of the loss of productivity, the cost of investigations, and the restoration of data. Something interesting we saw is that companies try to use their kidnap policies, their insurance kidnap policies, to recoup some of the WannaCry losses. The first thing that came to my mind was the insurance companies have certain reserves to pay out for their clients, right? So if these guys are successful and a number of companies claim the insurance money, the insurance companies' reserves might deplete, and that might cause some stock prices of the insurance companies to fall. So that's something that could be interesting to have a look at further, right? Okay, we all know phishing, spearfishing. So some techniques the guys use is spearfish a CEO, CFO, get internal emails, get sensitive information, use that to trade on. So that is considered insider trading, but obviously from outside inside. One of the good examples is the W-2 wage and tax statements. So by mid-2016, over 70 US companies fell victim to this W-2 phishing scam. Basically, the MO was to spoof that of a CEO or CFO, send an email to the HR department asking for all the W-2 tax forms, okay? HR obviously always obliges. They send a nice little friendly smiley face on the email. And basically, they use that to tax rebates, okay? So they got the forms and did the rebate as well. So they made money just out of the tax forms. So there is some sort of a two-pronged approach. Another example is Seagate. So they were one of the companies that were hit by the W-2 phishing scam. So the information for their current and past employees for 2015 were compromised. Their stocks dropped 3.5% the day the news broke. And not only did the phishing campaign get money because of the rebates, it also got money out of the stock price dipping. So that's a double cash back for one simple phishing campaign. Okay, some legal ways, paying for data. Throwing cash at more cash makes sense, I guess. Okay, so like we said, quarterly results, merger announcements, and press releases are some of the things that influence a stock. But investors are always looking for more information. Anything to get that edge on an indicator, right? Just a quick shout out to Robert Lynn. He helped with the presentation. Nick Gabrilovic, he did some awesome research on some legal paying stuff and similar to this, and the Wall Street Journal. Okay, so there's a company called Chainscape. They basically measure and track the energy markets, and they've got some fancy, sophisticated tools, recon techniques. They got some satellites. They use AI, and they also have choppers with infrared cameras. Maybe they'll have some sharks with lasers later on. I'm not sure. So the US consumes about 12 million barrels of oil a day. 80 to 90% of that passes through Cushing, Oklahoma. These choppers with infrared cameras would fly around all these tankers. They would take photos of the storage tanks, and they could predict, see the levels of those storage tanks. Genscape has predicted the Energy Information Administration, their weekly announcements of those levels correctly for every week for the past 4 years. So they just get their chopper in there, do the scans, and they have data that nobody else has, right? To hire these guys, you do need about 6 figures, though, so it's not like I'm going to hire them. Okay, so obviously these levels can give insights into the demand and the subsequent changes in the oil price. UBS Investments, they hired a company called Remote Sensing Metrics, which is a satellite imagery analytics firm. So basically they took images of about 100 Walmart parking lots, and by counting the cars in the Walmart parking lots, month in, month out, they could analyze and get a sort of mathematical equation of the flow of customers. Based on that, they could see if the revenue might increase or decrease, obviously see if the stock price might go up or down. Another one, and I hope I pronounced this correctly, Chipotle. So there was a E. coli outbreak in October 2015. Everybody knew that's bad news, right? So we just wanted to figure out how bad it was really going to get. So a company called Second Measure, which is a credit card data analytics firm, they say they partnered with a variety of strategic partners and took some samples of sanitized credit card data. So these transactions did not only show that Chipotle were losing customers quite dramatically, but they could also see where the customers were going to instead. So with this data, you can short and buy at the same time and make some double profits, right? Okay, so as analysts, using what we have, as MacGyver would do it, if he needs to make a bomb, he can use a toothpick, a straw, and avocado, make some damage, right? So our normal methodologies, so discovery, analysis, exploitation, and reporting. Very basic. The thing with this is, the first two steps stay exactly the same. Do your discovery, do your analysis. Your exploit would literally be buy or sell, and then the dreaded reporting would be cash. I think every pen tester or analyst would like to see some cash instead of writing a report, right? So, some methods used by others. The Foursquare API was used and abused by hedge fund managers. They used the check-in data for major retailers. Based on those trends, they could sell the data and make some profit out of the shares. Foursquare has since raised their price on the API usage quite a bit. Okay. Another one was sites that use auto-incrementing user IDs with registration. So registering monthly or weekly, you can plot the differences in the registration numbers. Based on that, you can see how many users are new on the system. One of those was Adobe's when they shifted to Creative Cloud. Somebody successfully traded on that auto-incrementing ID. Okay, so what we did, basically back to basics, go back to school. I think everybody knows about Google Trends, nothing new there. Just interesting is if you do a search for the term iPhone, you can see at every launch there's a big spike in searches. And just by plotting that, you can see there is a decline in the number of searches. So the Apple quarterly report that was released in October 2016 showed that the iPhone sales dropped, and the shares dropped 2.6% on that news. So something as simple as Google Trends might give you some form of indication. We can also use reverse Whois. So find a domain or domains associated with certain registrant details. It's useful in pen tests, obviously in stock trading as well. So usually a new product equals a new domain name to be registered. Various online services, there are services where you can continuously track per registrant any new domains that they register. So it is a monthly fee, but it's definitely viable. So when we started with a little POC, we wanted to see who can we track. So we said we had to look at the NASDAQ and focused on companies with large and diverse portfolios, and obviously with frequent new product offerings. So one of the companies was Coty. Don't ask me how we got onto that. It's one of the world's leading beauty companies, approximately 9 billion in revenue with over 77 brands. Our triggers came up and it said katyperrymadlove.com was registered. That was on the 31st of March 2016. So we had to look around. We couldn't really see anything relating Katy Perry or Mad Love. And on June, the 1st of June, we saw a tweet that Katy Perry was launching a new fragrance. Okay, so with that news, Coty stock did go up a bit, but essentially there was 3 months of lead time to make some decisions on that information. So we wanted to see, we didn't track Nintendo, but we wanted to see with the Super Mario game, if we had been tracking, would we make some profit off that? There was a massive launch. shares spiked quite dramatically, right? But the interesting thing is that the day they launched or said they were going to launch the game, it's the same day the domain was created. So somebody obviously in the back end knew not to leak any information beforehand. So that was pretty cool. After that, we went a bit more local to South Africa. So Spur is a restaurant. They also own a lot of restaurants as a holding company. We started tracking them, and we saw that there was a domain, casabelladining.co.za, excuse me, which was registered the 8th of Feb 2016. With that, couldn't see any news on any searches. So from that news, end of Feb, they announced that they're launching a new pizzeria, which is Casa Bella. On that, the price went up quite a bit, and we had 20 days lead time. So we could have actually made some profit there if we were actually trading and not just analyzing, right? Okay, another technique is DNS Numeration. So there are 3,155 companies listed on the NASDAQ. Of those, 449 are categorized as technology. And I wonder how many technology companies allow for DNS zone transfers. So if it was some sort of a software online provider, you could definitely play with that. So with the POC in hand, I know DNS zone transfers are illegal in a few states, some countries, so it's going to be totally anonymous. But we found a company and we started doing zone transfers every month. We could track how many servers they were adding, internal and external, so they're really bad for them. But the good thing is they were all sequentially numbered. So instead of doing mad bash scripts and grepping, we could just literally go and count the number of the records, right? So the overall increase in the servers that we saw leading up to the result announcements compared to the previous months was obviously a clear indicator they're getting new customers. They have to up their server power for the new customers, right? So the quarterly earnings released in November 2016 saw the jump of approximately 6% on the back of the excellent news because of the new customers. And that result was entirely predictable just from a DNS zone transfer. Okay. So wrapping it up, there is no guarantee for trading, be it OSINT, be it normal trading. It's all about indicators. It's all about target selection, so it's difficult to set it up. But I think once you have a good target, you can definitely start using it properly. Cool. That's my talk. Thanks, guys.
Okay, we have about 5 minutes for questions. Anybody have a question?
With private registrations, are you still able to get useful data or not? Like with private registration, for instance, can you still get useful data?
I haven't checked the private registrations, but I think because of the small amount, it'll be difficult to get that target first off, right? Yeah, so try and get a bigger target just to work your way down.
Thank you all for...
Do you have kind of a quick example of one of the indicators that you might have researched that didn't pan out for you? Like a common misguided trading decision based on that?
Probably 80% of them. Yeah, so we didn't trade on this information, we just analyzed. But yeah, it's difficult to find the right target. You really have to do some searching, but it is viable, right?
Hey, what was your most exciting or worst letdown? Like, did something like throw you?
No, it's not really. I think with our flags and nothing really put me down. I think it just motivated me more just to go deeper into further companies. But I think obviously once you do choose a company or a target to play with, and they don't release new domains and it's all under one like holding company, it does get difficult and irritating. Yeah, so once you do find a company, that's awesome.
Sorry if I wasn't able to tell this from the snapshots of the registers. It looks like the companies that you found use like registrar masking, basically. How did you identify the companies themselves?
Some of them do. Those were examples, but a lot of them do just do it via their own company names. So the local one I focused on more, you could see that was a holding company which was registering. Okay. Exactly, yeah. Yeah, so look for like a holding company, a big umbrella, sort of trying to work your way down here.
Anybody else? Thank you. Oh.
It should show that senders make more money. So there are intelligence companies that track what senders invest in because they tend to make more money. Did you find any government hooks where you saw government data that it gave an indicator for the stock market, like the country South Africa is going to invest in this?
I didn't focus on government at all. That's one thing that was a rabbit hole I didn't want to jump into. That might get a bit weird.
Have you been following the DDoS attacks against some of the many Bitcoin exchanges?
Not recently. But yeah, I definitely want to have a look at that. Maybe take this research further. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
I thank you all for coming. You can always follow up with our speakers on Peerless after the event. And we're going to open up with our next talk in about 8 minutes.